So, some important things that you need to know. So, financial aid pretty much consists of funds provided to students and families to help to pay for post-secondary educational expenses. Um, right now, the financial aid terminology that was previously used was what we call expected family contribution, but there have been some terminology changes that have occurred for the 24-25 aid year and going forward. So some important financial aid terminology that we use all the time is cost of attendance. And what that means is that your cost of attendance includes what we call direct costs and indirect costs. Indirect costs pretty much are items that you are not billed for. So that includes books and supplies, personal expenses, as well as transportation costs. What we call direct costs is anything that you will actually see on your billing statement. So that can include tuition and fees, housing, and food. So the housing and food aspect is for students who may decide to live on campus. And so a lot of times when students do reside on campus, a meal plan is required in order for them to reside. This year, we have replaced the expected family contribution terminology with the student aid index. And what this is the amount that a family can reasonably be expected to contribute to their educational expenses. And pretty much this is our need-based indicator for federal aid purposes. So when you complete your free application for federal student aid, it pulls your income or your tax information straight or directly from the IRS, and it generates a student aid index that's sent to all schools. And this is for across all institutions, not just for University of Maryland. This is just a universal language that is used to determine the types of aid that the student is eligible for. And so to determine your financial need, we actually take the school's overall cost of attendance, and we actually subtract your student aid index, and that gives us an indication of the types of federal aid or non-need-based aid a student may be eligible for. So what is the process? First step, every family must complete a free application for federal student aid, and this is a snapshot of the website. You can indicate on that FAFSA up to 20 schools that you would like to send your application to. Once the application is sent to the schools, then it pretty much generates the financial aid offer that you may be eligible for. Because the new FAFSA process is different, they have simplified the application so that it's easier for students and families. So it's a streamlined process. They have reduced the number of questions. Also, there may be expanded eligibility and transparency for specifically the federal Pell Grants. Some students that may not have been eligible for federal Pell Grants for previous 8 years now may be eligible under that FAFSA simplification and that expanded eligibility that they have created. In addition to that, the FAFSA is a role-based form. So pretty much there's 2 different logins that must be created for the parent and the student. And the student must complete with their FSA and ID and password a login, as well as the parent. And then the contributing parent must sign the application. Once the student completes their side of the application, they would invite the student to sign it and submit their application as well. So it has changed significantly for the FAFSA for the upcoming year. And in addition, the parent who provides the greater portion of the student's financial support will be responsible for completing the FAFSA. So this is pretty much for our parents and students who are divorced or separated. The parent who provides more than 50% of the income in any academic year is the parent who should be completing the FAFSA, and it only requires one parent for completion. If parents are married within the household, even if it's a step parent, all parents must complete and submit their income information as well to be approved for federal aid. Okay. In addition to that, There are some changes with the FAFSA for students who may not be U.S. citizens or permanent residents or do not have a Social Security number. An FSA ID is still required, but they do allow you to create that without having a Social Security number as well. Okay. So in addition, like I said, because all parents are required to contribute to the FAFSA, please be advised for 24-25 and going forward for the FAFSA that everyone must complete their FSA ID and password to be able to complete the FAFSA and sign it. And what we will use as the parental or the biological parent to complete the FAFSA. Okay. So let's go through some of the application requirements. The application for 24-25 is available and open, and this is for students who are currently accepted in the institution. If you're looking to file the FAFSA for the next 8 years, so for 25-26, for any students who may be graduating high school this year and interested in renewing their FAFSA for the next 8 years, that application will be available at the end of December. You want to also make sure that when you're completing the FAFSA, you have all of the parent information, the tax return, W-2 forms. All of that will be required to complete the FAFSA. If you choose to use the IRS data retrieval tool, which will completely pull your tax information from the IRS, you are not required to gather all of the tax information as well. So once you complete that FAFSA and you submit it and you add those 10 colleges or institutions to your application, it will generate a student aid index, which is sent to the university. It will tell you what your federal Pell Grant eligibility is. So if you apply and you are eligible for any type of need-based programs, it will indicate that. It'll also have the institutional's graduation rates, retention rate, and transfer rates in that FAFSA submission summary once it's completed, which will be sent to you. Some schools may select you for verification, and pretty much that means that the school is just going to verify the information that you completed on the FAFSA is correct. Some students may be selected, but not all students may be selected. And if that happens, please reach out to the school just to make sure regarding what documentation you may need. With our institution directly, we just send email notifications to students regarding if they're selected for verification and specifically what is required. If you're not selected, then the next step is that you will receive your financial aid notification letter. Okay. I won't get too much into the important dates. Albert went over those, but these are some of the deadlines that you want to be aware of. Typically, schools release their aid packages according to how students are admitted. Specifically with University in Maryland, we send our notifications in March so that you can confirm by the May 1 deadline. Now, I'm going to go over quickly the types of financial aid that may be available. They are split up in different types. So grant, scholarship, work study, federal loans. These are all types of federal aid programs that you will be automatically reviewed for once you complete your FAFSA application. With the federal Pell Grants, like I said, it is based on your student aid index. And so if you are eligible, there's nothing that you need to do besides submitting your FAFSA application to be reviewed for the programs. These include Pell Grants. We have something called an SEOG grant, which you have to be offered the Pell to be eligible for the SEOG. And there are also Teach Grant programs that are available through institutions. And this is across the board, like I said, not just for University of Maryland. All schools review you for these federal aid programs. for our students who are Maryland residents or residents of Maryland, there are state aid grants and scholarship programs through the Maryland Higher Education Commission where you are reviewed automatically. So as long as you complete the FAFSA by, the school's priority deadline, the state will review you automatically. You have to complete your FAFSA by March 1. Some schools have deadlines according to that. I know with Maryland, our deadline is usually around January 1. This year was a little different, which we had to push that deadline back. But if you submit your application by the school's priority deadline, you should be within the state. These programs, the Rawlings EA, the Guarantee Access Grant, they're all state programs which are available to students. All you have to do is complete your FAFSA application and you will be awarded these funds. Institutional grants vary by school. With us, we have the University of Maryland grant as well as the Terrapin Commitment, and these are all need-based grant programs, which you are automatically offered when you submit your FAFSA on time by the priority deadline. So if you're eligible for Pell Grant programs, then you're automatically offered institutional aid programs as well. In addition to that, work study programs are available. We don't have the question on the FAFSA that asks you if you are interested in work study, but some schools, just like our institution, awards you automatically. So if you receive your aid notification from the institution and federal work study has not been included, you can always reach out to the institution to inquire about any work study programs. And work studies is self-help. So basically, it's a program that allows you to work while you're earning funds. It's not credit directly towards your tuition and fees, but it's just like having an on-campus job where you can earn funding. Students must pretty much be offered and eligible and demonstrate need to be eligible. You cannot work over 20 hours per week, and the award varies by school. With our institution, we offer $3,000 to start, and as you earn, you can request increases. But like I said, every school may offer a different amount of self-help programs that may be available. In addition to that, with the FAFSA, you will also be offered federal direct loans. I know a lot of times we don't want to accept direct loans because it does have to be repaid. But if you're going to accept a federal loan, these types of loans are the best loans to take. They are broken up by need-based and non-need-based portions. So subsidized, which is interest-free, unsubsidized, direct loans, which do accrue interest, and then federal Parent Plus loans, which we give you the option of applying for federal Parent Plus loans up to the cost of attendance, minus any other aid that you may be receiving. And so those are options to pretty much cover the gap if you've maximized all of your scholarship grant options and you still need to have it covered. Federal loans are a good way to supplement that. And lastly, with alternative loans, those are through outside banks or lenders. That should be your last option. Once you've maximized all your federal loan funds, if you do need an alternative loan, the families will be responsible for checking or applying for those loans directly. If you're a MESFA student and you're not a U.S. citizen, permanent resident, or do not have the documentation for that, the Maryland Higher Education does provide MESFA funds to students. You can visit their website, which is located at the bottom of the slide, to complete the MESFA application to see if you can be eligible for any of these state aid programs. Again, you have to complete that MESFA application by March 1. These are some of the merit scholarships that are offered through the University of Maryland. Only thing you have to do is submit your admission application by the admission deadline or the early action deadline. These are what we call merit awards. The only thing you have to do is apply, and undergraduate admissions will review you for all of these merit awards automatically. Some students receive it, but some students may not. But these are some of the programs that may be available to students. So if you have any questions regarding the need-based aspect of awarding, you want to always reach out to your financial aid office, specific financial aid office. You can make an appointment to speak with a financial aid counselor at your school, just to go over what federal aid options may be available to you. If you have questions for us, if you're interested in applying to University of Maryland, and you have questions regarding the process, we are available for drop-in. So you can drop in with us Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we can sit down and we can discuss what financial aid options may be available to you as a result of the FAFSA information. Okay, so I hope I did give you some information regarding federal programs, grant programs, and state aid programs that may be available to you. Thank you very much.